YouTube, greetings and salutations. So, I just had a conversation with a millionaire, and that's millionaire USD, multi-millionaire. And he's actually, interestingly, in my current location, he's a billionaire in the local currency. But I just want to share some of the things that I observed. I don't want to necessarily say learned, but some of the takeaways from this conversation with the millionaire. It's interesting. He mentioned three things, and I thought the first word he was going to say was discipline, but he likened it to your hands. You've got five fingers, and he basically said you need to spread out. Just like in a stock portfolio, you want to diversify your assets. So he said you need to be able to multitask. And bear in mind, English is not his first language, so you will kind of have to. There's a fly flying around here. You kind of have to you get the gist of what he's saying, but he basically said you need to be able to multitask. You need to have your fingers in more than one basket. Like, it's never a good thing to just do one thing. You need multiple, and this is what, when I said it, he affirmed it. You need multiple streams of income. So he said five is nice, more than that is great. But basically, having five was the baseline, five streams of income. And yeah, I thought he said discipline, but he didn't. He said, like, in my mind, I was saying discipline, because that's the first thing for me. But he said determination. So he said it's three things. He said determination, focus, and seriousness. And when he said seriousness, he was like, seriousness, like, because in business you have to be serious. A lot of people don't understand, and it's a masculine trait, is business, and you need to be serious in business. So that was another important thing he said. Give me a moment whilst I contemplate. I noticed when, upon meeting him, he had very warm, inviting energy, and like I said, you can feel energy. So I felt his energy. He felt warm, he felt inviting, and he was very polite and nice. And I didn't sense any typical ego when I met him. So that was definitely, like, as soon as I shook his hand, it was like I got, like, this is a nice guy. You got that feeling. Like, he wasn't like trying to hide the secrets and things like that. He was willing to share. He was open, willing to talk. Another thing that caught my attention about him was that him specifically, but I think in general, when it comes to energy, he was emotional. He feels things a bit deeper. He was an emotional person, and when I said something, he actually began to cry. He actually began to cry, like shed tears right in front of my face, my father's face. And dad was saying, like, "Wow, there's no need." I tried, I tried to keep back my smile, but it was just like he's feeling it. Like, he was an emotional person, which was interesting. Yeah, like he said, look, this is not like, he's not crying. No, he actually said it was tears of joy based off what I said, because I was sharing with him, like the 9 to 5 things, the trap, because, my dad was always like, oh, what, like, if you didn't give up, because I had this, straight out of university, I had this job in Canary Wharf, which, if you don't know, it's a very busy district in the UK, and I had a good job, like, but I left that for another job, then I left that, and I dipped, and I just left the UK. And in his mind, it's like, oh, if you didn't stop, you'd be on 100 grand a year. But then I said, see, but my dad doesn't know that I'm richer than him already. So, and obviously it's not really something I'm going to go out and say. So it's like, what good is 100 grand a year when you can get 100 grand a month? Like, the agency I'm working with did 100 grand a month in December, like 100 grand a year. Plus, guys, I don't pay taxes, like, because I'm a fringe dweller. So I don't pay taxes. Like, 100 grand a year is nothing, because they're taking 40 to 50% of that anyways. And then you've got a 2-bedroom mortgage that you're paying for. Then you've got a girlfriend. Then you've got a fancy car. Then you've got this. Then you've got that. And how much are you really keeping at the end of the month? So 100 grand a month is, like, respectfully not that. Sorry, 100 grand a year. Apologies. It's respectfully not that much money. It's not that impressive. Whereas here, I could be earning, let's say, 100 grand a year, and my expenses are so low. Like, I do not want to show you guys, but first of all, the house I'm staying in right here is paid off. Like, we own this land. But in general, my expenses are so low. I don't have a lot of responsibilities and obligations. I can be anywhere in the world with a fucking laptop device. It's ridiculous. Excuse my language. It's ridiculous. But that's something I wanted to mention. We discussed that. And he was hearing it because he has kids who are stuck in KPMG trying to become a chartered accountant. And they're following a typical path. And I have no interest in doing that. I found a path that works for me. The moment earned income online, I knew it wasn't the path to go down. And he really resonated with that because he realizes there's a ceiling. And this is what I said to him, and he affirmed it. There's a ceiling with these companies. You can work for Credit Suisse, you can work for JP Morgan, but there's a ceiling how high you can go. And if you want to look at your personal profile, especially if you're a black man, there's certain limitations and certain workplace politics that you'll never be able to sort of rise against. Whereas he, of course, owns his businesses and things like that. Um, yeah, like he knows that there's no ceiling to what we're doing, but there's a ceiling to what his kids are doing and what they're doing. So yeah, another thing that I noticed about him, and this is something that I do because, but this is something that he did that is actually something I do as well. Like he said, he's rich. Like he said, I'm rich. Like he's not shy to say it. He wasn't afraid to say it. And I tell people that like I'm rich. I don't have to like you know what I'm saying? So he said he's rich. He's easily a millionaire in US dollars. He's easily a billionaire in our local currency right now. See, this fly really wants to be around me. There is no food here. So yeah, that's something I found interesting. Because some people they'll say they have money, but they'll never. Some people have money, they won't say it. But the thing is, energy doesn't lie. You can feel it when he has money. In terms of his character, he was well dressed, well groomed, that kind of stuff. Obviously, this sort of typical stuff you'd expect. And I'll get something. I'll get on something later. But yeah, he said he was rich. He was very humble as well. He was complimenting my dad, saying like my dad is his. I can't remember the word he used, like senior in so many things, like in age and everything. And obviously he was being humble because he obviously had more money than my dad, right? So yeah, he was humble, but at the same time, he wasn't afraid to state facts. Like he was rich. It's okay to say when you're rich, like I'm rich. Yeah, another thing, the focus side, we did talk a little bit about women, but we didn't get too into it. But what he would have said would probably be what everyone else would say. And that's yeah, so something I noticed about him specifically is that he had a wife. His wife actually called, and I think she called something to do with her nails, or like because he made a comment like, the women want to do their nails, their toenails, and stuff like that, and it's because it's available, like we have the money. And then he said, women respect successful men. You can tell her to do this, and she'll do that because you're successful. Women will respect you more. So he did mention that, and I think the most important thing is that he had a wife. So he's not running around on the streets. He's not doing this. He had kids. He had a wife. So yeah, that was definitely something very important to note. The fact that he had a wife, because I think I saw it. I saw it mentioned somewhere that most successful people typically have wives. They're not like hooking up with people. They're not dating casually. They typically have a wife because that aids to the focus. Because again, I want to bring it back to the 3D, to the three things you mentioned: determination, focus, and what's the last one? Seriousness. I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, and lastly, I'm glad, last but not least, certainly not least, I'm glad I didn't mention this. And I always say if I have a conversation with someone and God wasn't mentioned or something of the spiritual wasn't mentioned, it was an unsuccessful conversation. And if I typically hang around someone and we're always having conversations and God is not brought up, because I typically bring up God in every single conversation. And this is what I loved that he did, is because focal point, it was a focal point of his discussion and is what I remember. Um, he told me he was proud of me. He doesn't know me very well, but he told me he was proud of me. Obviously, learned a little bit more about myself throughout the conversation, but not nearly as much as required to really understand me. But yeah, he did say putting God first. He did say putting God first is extremely important, and there's like when he gave an example of if you give someone money, don't thank me, thank God. Like all glory to God, all praise to God, putting God first and being like in everything that you do, putting God first. And I love that message about him. Interestingly, he didn't mention religion, although his name was Akeem. He didn't mention religion. He just said praying, 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 putting God first in all things. And I love that because it was focused on righteousness. Yeah, these are some insights. We spoke about a few things. He even offered me a potential like job opportunity, which I'll take very seriously. Not necessarily job opportunity, work opportunity to help him market some of his properties. So yeah, I'll take that very seriously because if you do well, and this is what's always do your best is one of the four agreements from whoever wrote that book. Always do your best. So if someone gives you a task, it's like a test. It's like, let's see what this guy can do for me. And if you have a high energy, whatever you put your hands into or whatever you touch will turn to gold if you have high energy. And that's why all my videos on this page, I do have other pages, but all my videos on this page are mostly focused around energy management. Because if you have high energy, anything you do is gonna just it's gonna be great. Like anything you touch, if like is so you have to really be careful. So yeah, he prayed for me. He said something like that. He said, and one thing he said actually, and this kind of ties into manifestation a little bit. He said, anything he speaks comes to pass. And he said, I've prayed for you, so I know like things are gonna be successful for you. And bear in mind, these guys have no idea how much money I make. Like things like that. They're making assumptions. Like I said, my dad doesn't know that I'm richer than him. And the thing is, yeah, so but yeah, these are certainly the insights. Um I'm thinking if there's anything else, give me a moment to think. So he also said he works like a maniac. He actually, I think he used that animal as a reference, but he's basically said he works like a maniac. I forgot to mention that. So he's very hardworking. My dad was like, you see him here sitting now, but he's always busy, type kind of thing. He's always busy. His three kids overseas in Europe. Um, International education. He's always working, always working. And yeah, that kind of reminds me of the focus. So yeah, I'm still surprised by the fact that he cried, but that's okay. Like no judgment here. Um, um, so it just goes to show he was remember emotion is energy in motion. So there's a lot of energy he had. And in terms of the way he spoke, he really locked in. There's a lot of silences. He spoke like someone who's a professional. And another thing to note is that he just graduated high school. That was it. So I think it's either he didn't finish high school or he just finished high school. He didn't do any further education. But then he's encouraging all his kids to get these master's degrees and things like that. But yeah, and he's the big boss. Yeah, I hope that was useful.